Sri Lanka's Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has said he has instructed the military and police to do what is necessary to restore order after thousands of protesters defied a state of emergency and stormed his office in Colombo. In a televised statement, Mr Wickremesinghe said the demonstrators wanted to stop him from carrying out his responsibilities as acting president, an appointment announced by the Speaker of Parliament just hours earlier. President Rajapaksa earlier fled the country for the Maldives, while our correspondent Rajini Vaidyanathan gained access to the Prime Minister's office as protesters took it over.
So after hours of trying to make their way in, after hours of tear gas being fired by security forces and a huge police presence, protesters have breached the gates of the Prime Minister's office, and just look at this. They are inside the building, they are on the ground, they're up there if you have a look. They are everywhere. And these scenes are very similar to what we saw a few days ago when protesters overran the presidential palace, the president's office, and the Prime Minister's official residence. And we were just inside. It's kind of a surreal moment when they're actually making sure that none of the furniture is damaged. They're telling people not to stand on the chairs or tables, but they're just dancing and they're celebrating in there. I did ask some people, well, what comes next? You know, what they're doing here is trespassing, illegally entering public property, but they say that they want the political class to change here in Sri Lanka. We are in times that we've never seen on this island before, deep turmoil and crisis. But this is being seen by the protesters as a real victory. So as I say, you know, real tense moments this morning, water cannons as well as tear gas trying to push the crowds away. And now, when you go inside, you see armed security forces in there just standing aside as people are walking through these presidential or prime ministerial, I should say, offices. And here we are. It's just quite a moment if you just soak it up once more.
Rajini Vaidyanathan there. Well, in the past hour, the acting president made a televised statement. Here's what he had to say. The constitution of the country cannot be ignored. On the advice of the military, I impose the emergency to control the situation. I have given all the powers to the military to install normalcy, appointed a committee headed by the army, military chiefs and police chiefs without any political interference. Well, let's get the latest now with our correspondent in Colombo, Archana Shukla. Archana, welcome to you. People still on the streets behind you. Have you noticed an increased military presence?
Well, I am at the golf face right now. Behind me is the President's Secretariat that was taken over by protesters 4 days ago when they stormed into the President's house and the Prime Minister's house. But today, after the protesters took over the last governing centre, which was the Prime Minister's office, the military presence on the road has actually gone up with a state of emergency and a curfew being announced. People are defying the curfew and are still on the streets protesting. And to control that, the government has increased military presence on the road. Political observers are saying that considering there is a state of emergency, which means that the police can arrest people without warrants in order to maintain public order. You read the statement by the current Prime Minister and the acting President Ranil Wickremesinghe, who said that the military has been given overarching powers without any political interference to take action on the ground to bring normalcy back. And that's what observers are saying, that there could be a spate of many arrests amongst the protesters. But really this is the anger and frustration, what even Rajni was pointing out in her report, that it's the frustration and the helplessness of over the few months of economic crisis that people are angry with their politicians. Some of the protesters who we spoke earlier in the day told us that they are angry. One, they were earlier happy that Gotabaya Rajapaksa was leaving, but they're angry because they feel that the politicians in the country are using the executive powers in their favor, and they're not not happy with Ranil Wickremesinghe becoming the acting president as well. And that is what you're seeing on the streets right now.
And with a new acting president, is there any sense of a government being formed, or does it still feel as though there is a political vacuum there?
Political vacuum would be the correct word to put here, at least at this point in time. While according to the Constitution, the current Prime Minister will take over the role of the President once the formal resignation of Gotabaya Rajapaksa comes in. But there is protest against Ranil Wickremesinghe himself. The opposition parties are in a huddle, and they say that they will be able to form a government and call in for nominations of the next president and the Prime Minister in the next coming days. But that's still a question mark, because the leader of the opposition, Sajid Premadasa, had said that he would be willing to run for presidency, and his political party can lead the opposition to form that all-party caretaker government, but they don't have the numbers in the parliament to prove a majority. And we've heard, and sources tell us, that over the last day and the last night especially, a lot of discussions back and forth has happened with other parties, but no consensus is still in place. So the political vacuum continues, and that's, this political instability and the vacuum is also stalling all the discussions and programs that the country needs to do to bring the economy back on track, to bring revival to the economy and bring essentials back on the ground for people and deal with shortages.
Okay, Archana, for now, thank you.